We're back, guys. Godswilla. Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Um, just got done rewatching it. Um, I I don't quite know what to say. Um, it's is it good? Um, there are aspects to it I like. Um, Bubba isn't really a horn dog in this movie. And this is pretty much a reboot, essentially. Or it could not be. I never really truly knew. Because at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Cook blew everybody up except for Chop Top and Stretch. So you don't truly know. But for the sake, it, it just points to it being not part of the same. Maybe it does exist, or maybe it's just a different Leatherface. You never know. You could say it because Leatherface has a leg brace, but okay. So, let's get into it. So, essentially, Michelle and her boyfriend, I don't know, I forgot his name. Yeah, forgettable. They're trying to get from Texas to California to Florida, sorry. And they get misinformation from a guy that they thought they could trust. And this is where we meet two of the family members. We first meet Tex Sawyer. So they're still the Sawyers. Um, yeah, he is at first glance, he is a normal guy. But we will soon find out that's far, far from the truth. More on him in a bit. Now we get to Alfredo. Alfredo Sawyer. Um, he's quite a character. Um, he does the whole take the picture stick and pay me money thing like the hitchhiker did back in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. Immediately, yeah, this guy is just not right. You just immediately tell he's part of the family. Where with the other guy, you're like, maybe he's not. Because they kind of get into a conflict. Because this guy wants to perv on Michelle. Tex and Alfredo kind of fight. Yeah. And, yeah. Um, so pretty much, Alfredo goes crazy and wants to shoot people. He wants to shoot them. Tex is trying to act like he's a good guy, but he really misled them because he told them that the map is outdated and they need to turn a right or something like that, and it's misinformation. It leads them right to their trap. Um, yeah, and it leads them to meeting probably one of the coolest characters in the movie, Benny, played by Ken Foray. Obviously, he's a cool character. It's Ken Foray. Um, but that's besides the point. They get into a crash, and then they meet each other. And then this is where we meet another family member. Well, not really yet. They don't crash yet. I misspoke. So, they send a truck after them. Um, And in this truck, we will meet Ticker Sawyer later on, but we don't really know it's him yet. So, he pretty much gets them to stall or whatever, gets them to pull over because they like throw like a dead coyote or something on it, whatever it is. Their tire is messed up. The guy is trying to fix it, and then she says he hears something. Yes, in fact, she hears the quietest chainsaw in existence. Maybe the only thing competing with it is Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1, where he's just in the woods from his house. He's just quiet, man. Like Leatherface is the most stealthy. He's more stealthy than Michael Myers at this rate, because he'll just only when you see him you hear that chainsaw. So at that point it's GG. If you don't hear the chainsaw, he could be right there. Boom, boom, he got you. This man's stealthy as heck. So they start the car again, and they actually get away. And then this is where they get into the crash, and they meet Benny. And then they meet one of the pointless characters just to pad out the time. She gives a little bit of exposition about how the family here just gets people, kidnaps them, and kills them. But the thing is, we already knew that. If you're a Texas Chainsaw Massacre nerd, like yours truly, you would know that. So that information was very pointless. And she's just there for the body count anyways. And yeah. She's a survivor, I guess. And it's GG. She dies. And yeah. And at this point, this is the point where we meet Ticker Sawyer. You can just tell his vibe is completely off. He's got a hook for a hand. Yeah. Nah. Not feeling this guy. He looks around. Benny looks around and finds a chainsaw in his truck, and he's like, "Oh no," because the boyfriend mentioned it earlier to Benny when they first met, and yeah. So yeah, this is he starts Benny starts to load up his gun. Ticker realizes what Benny is doing, so he tries to hit him, but Benny dives out of the way. Right into, the quietest chainsaw in existence until he appears on screen. I don't know how I'm gonna stop making that joke. I don't know if I'll ever stop making that joke. Only when only when that chainsaw is loud all the time. But the thing is, you gotta have the jump scare of Bubba every time in these movies. You gotta have the jump scare. The jump scare. Just like every horror movie. But that's besides the point. At this point, that girl I mentioned earlier dies, and then the boyfriend dies. Well, not yet. He gets caught in a trap, and Bubba chainsaws him, but apparently that doesn't kill him. We'll get to that later. Yeah. So, Michelle wanders to a house. And if you know these movies quite well to this point, I mean, we're 3 films in, when they wander off from the family and into a house, or they stumble upon a house, obviously it's the family house. And this is where we meet the little girl, no name girl. I looked for a while. The little girl has no name. She's just little girl. The backstory about this little girl is quite frightening. Bubba is sick. I mean, he's using human faces as a mask, but that's besides the point. This girl is a product of one of Leatherface's victims. Yes, you heard me correctly. Bubba raped one of his victims, and thus the little girl was born. And this is where we find out that good old Tex isn't the good guy that we thought he was. He's pretty much like the cook from, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. We're just redoing. You think the guy is good, but he's really bad. The same old stick. You're copying the first movie, nothing original. And this is why I kind of agreed with Tobe Hooper in the sense, why make the same film over again? And this would be the result. This is the result of no vision. No vision. Yeah. But that's besides the point. Tex nails Michelle to a chair, and of course, during this scene, this is where we meet good old the actually dead grandpa. Grandpa's like actually dead in this movie. He's not like actually still alive and like 130 something. This man dead. This man dead, and they're just like not accepting it, and they're still like feeding him blood, like the OG grandpa would get fed blood. But nah, this dude dead. This dude's a corpse. He's like actually a corpse. And we also meet Mama Sawyer. Woo. The unique thing about her is that she has like a voice box that she needs to use. So it's, I guess that's somewhat interesting, compelling. She's wheelchair bound, kind of like Franklin was in the first movie. Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing about this movie is that they don't call Leatherface Leatherface in this movie. They call him Junior, even though his name is in the title. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And around this point, Tech Sawyer gives Junior or Leatherface a gift. The new chainsaw. We find out this family is also kind of racist, because Ticker tells Leatherface or Junior that they missed the darky. Yeah, just casual racism. But to be honest, it was Southern, so racism did happen to be a very big issue back then. So, yeah, that's besides the point. There's this one scene I want to mention. So Benny's coming to the house, trying to get Michelle. And Leatherface or Junior, he does this thing on the computer or whatever it is. It's like you gotta name the object or whatever it is, and it's like a person or something. And this dude, Junior or Leatherface, he just keeps putting in food and it's incorrect. And it's because this dude doesn't recognize people as people. He just recognizes them as food. I don't understand. I don't know if it's wholesome or frightening at the same time. It's just weird. It's like, yeah, it's funny and dumb, but that's what Leatherface Jr. is. He's not all there in the head. Hence why he uses a chainsaw and uses people's faces as a mask. The usual. So, at this point, Junior goes back to the kitchen after getting frustrated with the machine because it won't accept that he thinks everything is food, and it won't accept it as a right answer. So, at this point, Junior goes back to the dinner table, and it's time to finish off the boyfriend. But the little girl says it's her turn. She says that they promised her that she would be able to do it. And so they do. They have her pull this rope down, and it makes 2 mallets or hammers squash the dude's head. So GG to him, typical stuff, And then Leatherface is going for the kill on Michelle, and this is where good old Benny shows up with his gun, shoots at pretty much the whole house up. He kills Mama, shoots Grandpa a bit even though he's already dead. Shoots Ticker's ear off, of all things. And Leatherface disappears into a car. Yeah, Leatherface just, leaves. He just leaves the area. Yeah, that actually happened. He just leaves for some reason. He doesn't go outside to get him, or he just leaves. He just leaves the area. Then after that, Michelle finally breaks herself free from the nail-bitten thing she was bound to. So, with that being said, she gets out. She runs out the house. Tex tries to get her. She escapes the grasp of him. And then she goes outside thinking another family member grabbed her, but it was really just Benny. So they run. And then Leatherface is in the car. The little girl, puts spotlights on so Leatherface can see the guy. I don't know if that's kind of a racist joke or whatever, but I digress. Because, you know what? I don't think I really need to explain it. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Yeah, he tells Michelle to go. And, Leatherface hits Benny. Yeah, no. He doesn't get out of the way. He actually gets hit. He's okay. Leatherface doesn't, run him over multiple times. Instead, what Leatherface does, he goes after Michelle. Then Tex Sawyer comes out to attack Benny, and they have a decent fight scene. Gasoline is hit, and Benny has the unique idea to set Mans on fire. Yes, Mans is set on fire. Tex Sawyer is set on fire. He's GG's. And Benny realizes, oh no, I just set a gasoline on fire near a car. So if he stays around that area, it's GG, It's your brain would tell you it's going to explode, it's going to kill me if I'm in the vicinity. So obviously, he runs away and jumps out of the way like a cool action movie star guy. Yeah. The classic chase scene between Leatherface and the final girl pursues, every typical movie. Except for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, surprisingly, it did something different. But, whatever. That is besides the point. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not even going to get into that. Because this is about the third movie and not the second movie. So, Michelle's chased into water. Benny shows up, beating up Leatherface. And it seems like Leatherface kills Benny. But we'll find out later that is not the case. So, repeatedly, after trying to get Michelle one last time, she is bashed over the skull. No. Leatherface, or Junior, is bashed over the skull with a rock, and it's GG for Leatherface. Or so we think. So, meanwhile, it's sun shining. She's walking out. She sits down, and then a car pulls up, and it's Tex Sawyer's car, and she thinks, oh no, they're coming back after me. Then it's to her surprise, it's Benny. Let's go. And then Benny gets in the car, and then all of a sudden, an NPC spawns in, known as Alfredo. He spawns in out of nowhere, knocks out Benny temporarily for a second, and then, you know, he tries to get her, and then eventually, Alfredo's in the back of the truck. She has a gun pointed at him. Alfredo says, you don't know how to use a weapon like that. Turns out he is completely wrong. He gets the shit blasted out of him. He dead. He done. He GG. It's over. Over. Done. Over. He's dead. They pull his body out of the truck, and they drive to live happily ever after. Except not really, because Leatherface is still alive, because he walks in the shot with his braced up leg and his chainsaw, turning it on. No chainsaw dance. No chainsaw dance. He just turns the chainsaw on and it's GG. That's the movie. I don't know about this one, guys. I don't know about this one. This is like the original movie, but on a poor scale. Or like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 if it was a mid movie. That's all I can really say. And as you can probably tell, I'm not going to give this movie a very high rating. This movie is not horribly bad. Like I said, there's plot holes in the first and second movie, and I love those movies. But this is a bad follow-up. Bad. But, what would I rate this movie? I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. It's alright. It ain't the worst atrocious thing of all human mankind. Ken Foray kind of saves it for me. He's a good actor, yeah, he's good. Kind of saves it for me. But, yeah, guys, we're gonna move on to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4 in the next video. The crazy one with Matthew McConaughey, that will be an interesting watch for sure. I'll be sure to get back to y'all with that review as we continue through the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. In a bit, y'all.